I like to keep it mellow. I smoke and keep it mellow. I drink and keep it mellow. Every day I keep it mellow.
What's going on, everyone? So today I'm going to talk to you guys about how I was able to lose 15 pounds during a whole semester of medical school. So I'm going to tell you guys my entire diet plan, my entire workout plan, and a few key tips on how I was able to manage school and working out. So we're going to start the video off with playing a really short clip of what I looked like 12 weeks ago and what I look like now. And the difference you see here on the left is when I started my diet 12 weeks ago, and on the right is what I look like now. So the first thing we're going to talk about is diet. Diet is the most important thing that you need to have under control when trying to lose weight. So the app I use to keep track of everything is MyFitnessPal. With MyFitnessPal, you can keep track of everything that you eat, the amounts and the calories and macronutrients that pertain to that food. So the type of dieting that I did to lose this weight is called If It Fits Your Macros. It's a really popular diet. It's not necessarily a fad diet, but it is a specific way of eating certain foods and still achieving really good results. So the way that this diet works is you count your total intake of protein, carbs, and fats. For the best results, you typically need to eat about 90% whole foods and then maybe 10% kind of like cheat foods or foods that might not necessarily be the best for you, but they really help you stick to your diet. So another important thing I did was I did carb cycling, which is another type of dieting method. On one day, I would have high carbs, which is 150 grams of carbs for me at this point in my diet. And then on my low days, I did 75 grams of carbs. So let's say Monday was my high day. Tuesday and Wednesday would be low days at 75 grams of carbs, and then Wednesday I would go back up to my high day of 150 grams of carbs. And I would do that throughout the week, and then Sunday I would typically have cheat meals. So I didn't really count anything, I just roughly ate how I felt. Through this, I really tried to enjoy food and enjoy time out with my friends without going too overboard. So a typical day of my diet is this. So I would start out for breakfast, I would have 2 whole eggs and 2 servings of egg whites. For a snack around 10 or 11, I would have 1 serving of Dannon Light and Fit Greek yogurt, and then I would have 1 serving of unsalted cashews. And for lunch, I would typically have 4.5 ounces of, this is beef and onions, and then I would have 66 grams of sweet potatoes. And then for another snack, about 3 p.m., I would eat about 5 ounces of chicken and onions, and some green broccoli on the side. And for dinner, I would typically have 5 ounces of the same chicken. I would add a half serving, so 7 grams of unrefined or virgin coconut oil. And then I would also add in 100 grams of Pink Lady apples. It can be any apples. These are just the cheapest that I could find. That was my dinner / pre-workout meal. And I would go to the gym, and then after the gym, I would have 1 serving of Ghost Whey protein. And along with the protein, I would either have 1 serving or half a cookie of Lenny and Larry's Complete Cookie, or I would have 1 serving of Halo Top ice cream. That typically wrapped up my entire meal for my low carbohydrate days. For my high carbohydrate days, I would actually throw in about a cup of white rice for dinner, and then I would eat 1 serving of Lenny and Larry's cookies and 1 serving of Halo Top, so I combined these 2. So as you can see, my diet was about 90% whole foods. The only things that I had that were either processed or not necessarily the healthiest for you were these 2 things right here. And yeah, that's how I was able to lose 15 pounds of weight. I didn't start this diet right away. I started out at higher carbohydrates and then slowly worked my way down. I always kept my protein the same, about 190 grams of protein. My fats were typically about the same. I actually started my diet on 30 grams of fat, and then I actually bumped it up as I lowered my carbs to keep my calories roughly the same. Overall, my calories did decrease quite a bit. I think I decreased my calories about 500 to 700 calories throughout the diet. Hopefully you guys got a quick picture of what I ate throughout the day. Now for my exercise plan, I follow a sort of modified push-pull leg split. What that means is a pushing day typically means chest and triceps, a pulling day typically means back and biceps, and then a leg day is just any leg movement. So instead of doing the traditional push-pull legs, I actually do, the first days I do chest and shoulders, and then the next day I do back and arms, so biceps and triceps. And then the third day I do legs, and then I repeat that for the next 3 days. And on the 7th day I rest. And I tried to follow this as much as possible. There were weeks where I had multiple exams, so I couldn't get 6 days of workouts in a week. So on the days that I wasn't able to work out where I originally planned to work out, I either did 30 minutes of cardio just downstairs in my apartment gym, or I didn't do anything. I would just pick up my split right where I left off. I didn't skip any body parts if I missed a day. So for cardio, I actually did not do a ton of cardio. On average, I would say I did 2 cardio sessions a week. Now, if you are dieting and you really want to keep your calories high, then you need to be doing more cardio than that. The reason why I was able to lower my calories so much and not have such bad side effects was because, one, I sit down and study all day, so my total daily energy expenditure is not very high, and 2, I didn't do a ton of cardio. So I think you can get slightly better results if you keep your calories higher and do more cardio. I just didn't really have the time to fit that into my schedule. Every single cardio session was 30 minutes on the treadmill, except for last week I did 30 minutes on the Stairmaster. The type of cardio you do doesn't really matter as long as you are able to burn extra calories and put yourself in a caloric deficit. So that pretty much wraps up what I did in terms of my diet and working out for my whole entire 12 weeks. Now for my supplements, I'm gonna show you guys everything that I took. So like I said, I always took a scoop of whey protein a day, and I think this is probably one of the best supplements you can take just because it is so hard to get the right amount of protein intake just through chicken and beef and other things. So this really helps you hit your required protein intake for the day. My next recommendation is creatine. Now this is actually Ghost's size. This is their pre-release packaging. Like I said in my last video, this is a creatine based supplement. I highly recommend you take creatine because there's so many studies saying how effective it is in increasing your performance in the gym. The next supplement I really recommend, and I actually kind of skipped out on this last year and I noticed a lot of negative effects from doing that, but this year I've decided to include a multivitamin. This is just a men's 1-a-day Pro Edge, the sports formula. I mean, you can get pretty much whatever vitamin you want. I just wanted to get one that was 1 for men and 2 for sports because, I mean, you are lifting, you are very active, so you should be taking the necessary vitamins for sports performance. And this is called Ghost Legend. This is their Warheads flavor. This is my favorite flavor. This basically just gives you a ton of energy and gives you a really good pump in the gym. So if you are a person who can only work out at night, like after work, let's say, or if you're a person who can only work out at 5 in the morning before your work, then I highly recommend this supplement because this gets you going, guys. This will give you the energy you need to perform well in the gym. It'll help you stay focused. You'll be amped up, ready to work out if you take this. All right, guys, so that's gonna wrap up my diet, my training plan, and my supplements. Now we're gonna talk about a few key tips that I found really helpful for me in balancing the gym and studying. So the first key tip I have is always track everything. So like I said, use MyFitnessPal on your phone to track your food, and then track your daily weights with a calendar. This just helps you keep aware of where you're at, where your progress is at. If you feel like you haven't been progressing, you can always go look back at later dates and say, oh yeah, I am progressing, I am doing well. So this is just a great way to keep your weight loss on track and make sure you're losing it at the appropriate speed, which by the way, I recommend losing about a pound a week, nothing more than that. My second key tip is meal prep, guys. Meal prep is a lifesaver in terms of saving time because it does take a little bit of time during one day, but the rest of the week, I mean, everything's already set. All you have to do is weigh out your food. If you don't want to do it on the first day, weigh out your food, microwave it, and it's ready to go. My third tip is find a time that going to the gym works best for you and stick to it. There's gonna be days where you don't feel like going to the gym, but if you get into the routine of going to the gym at the same time every single day, it just becomes a habit. Once you establish a habit, habits are really hard to break. So if you establish a habit with your gym routine, then it's gonna be really hard for you to take that day off or take a break. And it's really gonna motivate you to keep going to the gym and get you closer to your desired goals. And my fourth tip is prioritize, guys. Always prioritize what you need to take care of first and then hit the gym later. Like I said, whenever I had multiple exams during a week, there's days that I didn't make it to the gym, but I tried to make the best of it. Don't make dumb excuses. Don't make excuses for yourself on why you can't go to the gym. Just know what needs to be done at that point in time. Prioritize your business or your work or your school first, and then go to the gym. I also recommend prioritizing the gym over other things. So maybe prioritize the gym over watching a TV show or prioritize the gym over playing video games. But don't let the gym jeopardize your social aspect of life. Don't consistently say you can't hang out with friends because of the gym, because at the end of the day, the gym's good for you, but so is your social life. You want to have a great balance of work, social life, and health. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I know it was a little bit different. Comment down below what you guys want to see next week, and I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the vlog. Hey, Pete. What's going on, guys? So today I had my very last standardized patient. Now I got some comments when I talked about standardized patients last time. These are fake patients, guys. This is not a real person. So there's no issues of patient confidentiality or anything like that. I just figured sometimes maybe people might be interested in these cases. Today we had a 62-year-old woman come in complaining of fatigue. And she had an onset of this fatigue about 9 months ago, and it got really severe the past 2 months. So we did the general history, social history, family history. Nothing was really jumping out at us until we got to the review of systems, where she told us that she was having very heavy menstruations about 20 days out of the month and changing her pad every single hour. So that was a huge red flag. Massive amounts of blood loss can really cause fatigue. So we are learning about anemias and all that stuff. So anemias popped into our head, and she's on an estrogen supplement, which can also be kind of weird. And she said that supplement was for menopause, but she was still menstruating massive amounts, very irregular. So initially we were thinking maybe something hyperthyroidism or endometrial cancer, but we ultimately came up with the conclusion of we're gonna diagnose her with entering menopause. It's all a hypothetical case. Just think that some people might find it interesting. All right, I'm outside enjoying the evening. We actually forgot to prep our food. We didn't really forget, we just I'm talking to the camera. We didn't realize we were running out of food, so Madison went and got some Zoe's. So I have steak kebabs here, and then I think this is a quinoa salad. So this is like one of the lower carb sides, unless you got the Greek salad without the pita and cheese. So I'm gonna eat this and keep studying. Go poo. Go poo poo. Morning. It's Friday, early morning again. Just been really swamped with a lot of cancers we've had to learn for this past week. So I only have 7 days left of school, which is really awesome. All right, guys, just got back home from my quiz. I did pretty well. One cool thing is there was a question on my quiz where my ER experience really helped me out, because whenever we got stroke patients, we always had to double check their creatinine levels. Just to make sure that before we do a CT with contrast, we're not going to completely destroy their kidneys if their creatinine is too high. So if that lab test is really high, then that shows they have renal insufficiency, and contrast could do more harm than good. One of the questions that I was debating between on my quiz was an abdominal CT with contrast or a protein electrophoresis, and I was about to choose the abdominal CT with contrast, but then I remembered the lab values and the creatinine was really high. So I don't think I would have gotten that question right if I didn't do my ER experience, but just something cool I thought I would share. I really apologize for the lack of exciting footage. Hopefully next week will be better, but hope you guys enjoy the gym footage, and I hope you guys have a great Memorial Day weekend.